Yes, you are now rocking with the best. What's going on? It is your host of the WVON 1690. Well, You're Not Wrong podcast. I go by the name of Ty Won, hanging out with my homegirl,
Avi J.
And this is episode 3. We got a lot of dope topics, and there's a lot of crazy stuff going on in this world that we definitely need to inform you all about and discuss. We're just going to get straight to it. Man, so this whole Russia-Ukraine stuff. How do you feel about this?
I think it's kind of wild, like we really have Russia and Ukraine going at it, and what's really bothers me about it the most is the fact that with Biden, he had $1 billion to give to the Ukraine in support. However, we got a lot of Americans out here suffering, and of course our gas prices also are taking a hit because of what's going on with Russia and the Ukraine.
Yeah, I definitely think this is crazy, and it's just lets you know, like, just being a young person, we can't just totally ignore what's going on in the news and going on in politics. And it just even shows that, like, what goes on in other countries can affect us in the U.S. because Russia, they're part of our oil supply. You do business with those other countries and stuff, and they supply things for the U.S. So if, they're at war, they're going through different things, that can affect us. And how I really got a good understanding. It's this analogy I want to share that just kind of broke it down in simple terms. And it says the Ukraine and Russia crisis in simple terms for those who have no idea what is going on. Ukraine used to be in an abusive relationship with Russia, feeding him, letting him use her car and giving him whatever he asked for until she built up the confidence to call it quits back in 1991. Since then, Ukraine has been working on herself, becoming a strong, independent woman with help from friends like France, America, Poland, and etc., offering her support, loaning her money, and helping her find her way. Ukraine has been enjoying being single for 30 years and looking forward to continuing to grow and create new friendships. Now Russia is being the toxic ex that wants her back and doesn't want her meeting new people and creating any new relationships. A couple of weeks ago, Russia started sitting in front of Ukraine's house, and when her friends asked him what was he doing there, he said, "Oh, nothing, just getting a little bit of exercise in, that's all." After her friends told her that Russia was potentially getting ready to do something bad to her, he just said, "They're lying, they just want you to be scared of me, and that's not what it is." Yesterday, Russia broke into Ukraine's house, beating her up and taking advantage of her while on live stream and double dog daring any of her friends to do something about it. And if they do want the smoke, Russia got that thing on them. This was written by someone else. We can't take the credit for it, but basically this is how breaking it down.
It went down.
And let's just keep Ukraine in our prayers.
In our prayers, yeah.
So that's just the understanding of what's going on, and all of that stuff right now is just. It's just affecting the gas prices, and it's another thing that I read recently. It said that kind of the pandemic also affected the gas, like because people kind of had cabin fever, they weren't going out, the vaccines weren't available and stuff. So now they're outside more, they're traveling more, getting mingling in with their families. So the combination of this Russia-Ukraine stuff and a little bit of the cabin fever is what's caused these prices to go up because they can't really meet the supply and demand because they laid off so many people that work in these gas factories and oil plants and stuff. So it's just crazy out here.
Most definitely.
Man, but switching things over to some music.
Right.
Man, one of my favorite rappers just dropped his Shady Records debut album, his first major label debut album. It's just crazy because he's put out so many projects for this to just to be the label. I feel like all his other projects are like albums too, but he always delivers. I want to talk about Conway the Machine, God Don't Make Mistakes. Now, I know you listen to the album too. I think, personally, it's potentially, album of the year.
Album of the year. Conway had to grow on me. I'll just say that. Conway definitely had to grow on me because when I was listening to him, I feel like he has a specific audience. And it seems like to be in that specific audience, you kind of had to live that life, Because, like, a lot of things that he said, when I listen to music, I can understand what people say on the hip-hop level and the street level, but he seems like he was very street, very gangster. So it was a lot for me to really understand what he was talking about, but I won't lie, he is definitely a storyteller. He definitely is gifted, and that's something I will credit him for.
Yeah, I really thought the album was dope. I think it's just another dope album in his catalog. I feel like he definitely pulled out the heavy hitters on this. You know, he got a joint with Benny Siegel, was his album opener, Lock Load. I really, really, really like that joint. That's one of my favorite songs on the album. I think Rick Ross and Lil Wayne had solid features with Tear Gas. I like how he talked about kind of feeling insecure about his face. You know, people that if you look up Conway the Machine, you'll see his face is kind of crooked because he was shot in his head and it left him with Bell's palsy. But he just showed that like he no matter what, he wasn't going to give up. He was going to persevere and he was going to take it to motivate him. He's just like, they make jokes about my face but can't say nothing about the bars. Like he's just about bars, high level rap, really, keeping that hardcore East Coast street hip hop alive. Like, Conway is kind of like, he reminds me of like early Rockefeller, Wu-Tang.
Wu-Tang, definitely.
Yeah, like he's just like a mix of all of that, man. He just, his LA Leakers freestyle was crazy too. Like he always comes with the bars and the metaphors. And I'm definitely satisfied with this project. I like the posse cut. Mm-hmm. Well, John Woo Flick with Benny the Butcher and West Side Gun, when those three link up there. They always do a good job. I like Jill Scott's verse on the Chanel Pearls. Chanel Pearls. Overall, I thought it was a really dope album. It's definitely a contender for album of the year. I've been riding to it, rocking with it, living with it. So I'm satisfied.
Who would you say had the best feature?
Ooh, I'm a say.
Because I'm gonna say Lil Wayne.
Wayne is up there. I'm gonna say Wayne, and then Wayne. But I'm gonna go with Beanie Siegel. But the only thing is like, man, it's just not the same. I'm so happy to hear Beanie, and he really went in on his verse. But it's just like, cause he lost his lung a couple years ago and he got shot. And so Beanie Siegel is down to one lung. So he doesn't have that power, I feel like, in his voice.
Right.
It's not as, it's like, it sounds real dry and kind of rugged. Cause I feel like he can't put all into it, his breath into it, cause he's down to one lung. But I'm gonna say Beanie's first. I was just happy to really hear him, and it just makes sense that him and Conway would link up and do something. Cause, that's that same kind of similar era of music,
and they have chemistry.
They got similar styles. Yeah, that was really dope. But I can see you saying Wayne, but I'm gonna say Beanie had the best feature on that.
Yeah, but Wayne always brings fire to every single feature he does. I mean, when it comes to Wayne's music, whether it's just a solo Wayne song, him featuring on someone else, it's always a lot of fire with Wayne. Yeah. So I would have to say Wayne. It's just the fact Wayne's one of the best rappers out, like always. So I would have to say Wayne's feature, regardless, is.
You're not wrong.
He's tight. You ain't wrong either.
Man, switching gears again, I want to talk about Dirk. He's getting ready to drop his new album, 7220. He's getting ready to drop it. Definitely gonna have to listen to the whole project and give a review on that a little bit later. But definitely, I like the singles that he's put out. Man, I like the joint. What is it called? Aha, when he talks about NLE Chopper was telling him, don't be talking about Von, bringing up Von or whatever. Don't let it bother you. Just kind of let that beef go with like NBA Youngboy. He like, nah, like, I'm gonna go pick up a gun and I'm gonna, defend my brand, defend my artist, and defend my twin. Like he called Von his twin. So it's just great. I mean, it's dope that he's still keeping his homie alive. It's unfortunate
that's
that
loyalty,
and that this beef is still going on. It's crazy because the Baby and NBA Youngboy are doing a joint project, and some people from Dirk's camp kind of have an issue with that. So we're gonna have to see how that plays out as well. But really, I like these singles though. Like I said, 7220, Dirk new album. The other joints were Piss Me Off and Broadway Girls. Out of these three,
Broadway Girls was
my favorite. I've been listening to that like crazy, like just talking about leaving these Hollywood girls alone, and I just think about how he went back to like even telling he said, I told Von leave that girl alone because she got OnlyFans. Like that ties into Broadway Girls. Like you can't get caught up in all these these Instagram models and these OnlyFans girls and all that. They'll just have you going down the wrong path. And he's right. And I feel like that's with that mentality is how he ended up choosing his queen. He's getting with India. They getting married and everything.
And congratulations to them for that.
Yeah, yeah. And he just talked about, like, I remember he just recently did an interview, and he was saying,
what attracted him?
What attracted him to her. Like, she ain't have a lot of body count, and
which is so misogynistic.
Yeah, but I mean, I can kind of feel him on that. I mean, I'm not trying to meet nobody at the altar either that's been ran through. So,
but a person can always lie about their body count. You know, that's one thing that I'll have to say. A man, a woman, they can always lie about how many people they've been with. But I don't think a person's body count has anything to do with how loyal they can be. You know, a lot of people have passed. You know, a lot of people, they have relations with people, not necessarily because, you know, they're, well, I don't know if we could say this word, thoughts, or because they're promiscuous. It's just that they've had a lot of relationships, or they might have had a lot of bodies because they might have just had a self-esteem issue. You know, they might have a self-esteem issue. They might have just wanted validation, which led them to doing things that, you know, they probably regret. They probably needed some inner healing. So when it comes to a body count, and that's why you're attracted to somebody and wanted to marry someone, you have to think about how loyal is this person? How kind is this person? How does this person treat you? Does this person respect you? You would think it's India's personality and the type of woman she is. That would be the first thing he'd mention.
He talked about that too. Like, he just talked about just being a real down chick, and, you know, got his back. Feel like he you know, has his best interest, and she's loyal. And but he was just like, you know, I agree with him on that.
And he has a high body count himself, which is interesting. How the purity culture is so purity culture is something that impacts a woman, but by the looks of it, purity culture has no effects on a man at all.
I feel like that goes back to just even the biblical days, though. Like, I mean, it's a double standard. Just like, okay, like a man sleeping with a lot of women is not going to be viewed as the same as a woman sleeping with a lot of men. Just like, you know, a woman putting her hands on a man is never going to be viewed the same as a man putting his hands on a woman.
Well, you're not wrong about that one.
So it's just certain things in society, unfortunately, is double standards. I mean, you got a point, but just me being a man, you know, and me, you know, knowing what qualities and stuff that I would look for in a wife. Like I said, I don't want no chick that's been ran through either. So I salute Dirk on that. He's speaking some real talk on that.
But getting back to what you said, you know, with what I mentioned with purity culture, you know, like us, both genders, we have our privileges. We have our, of course, there's double standards that affect us both differently. But, you know, when it comes to India and Dirk, you know, he was praising her for having a low body count and being selective with who she chooses to give her body to. And you were also mentioning how, you know, when a woman's ran through, a lot of men wouldn't like that. And how when a man puts his hands on a woman, usually that would have a negative effect on society. And I think Chris Brown is a pure example of how a man putting his hands on a woman, how he can never be able to live that down.
Yeah,
you know?
I mean, in a way, but some people, I feel like, you know, Chris Brown's situation is a little bit different. I feel like his core fan base, like Team Breezy, you know, they have forgiven him. He has been able to, you know, bounce back from that and get back to where he was, or be even bigger than where he was before. But the people that's hating on him at this point, it was going to always discredit him and hate on him anyway. So I don't.
But what's even interesting about that is, even though his fan base may have forgiven him, when Ari, Herbo's girl, no, not Herbo's girl anymore, but Moneybagg Yo's girl currently.
Herbo's baby mama.
Baby mama. So anyway, she was talking negatively about domestic abuse victims, and Rihanna removed her from the whole Savage Fenty brand. Like, she was going to be a brand ambassador, but Rihanna took her off of that because of domestic violence. So by the looks of it, domestic violence victims, whether, you know, they've forgiven the abuser or not, is still something that takes a toll on them. It's still something that weighs on them, that they still feel impacted by, and that they still want to support those victims.
Yeah, I mean, I could see her, like, being offensive by that. Don't want nobody to represent her brand, you know, to each his own because of what she went through. But, you know, it just shows that some people, they can kind of understand things from the man's point of view too. It's not always the woman's point of view, but you're not wrong. So, yeah. Speaking of Chris Brown, he's actually clearing up his name right now. A woman from way back in December 2020, on a yacht party with Diddy, like, I think they were in Miami, accused him of drugging and raping her on a yacht, and said that, you know, she was raped by Brown after he served her some drinks, and she became disoriented and physically unstable and started to fall in and out of sleep. And basically tried to say, he raped her. But that's just not the case. Chris Brown left this girl on red after she consensually...
For months.
Right. After she consensually said, and it's on voice, record saying, you were the best I had. Like, what's going on? Why haven't you messaged me? He's like, I just been busy. I had something to do. What's going on? She ended up changing her number, hitting him up on a different number, thinking like if he saw a different number, maybe he would respond. It's just crazy. But it's just like, imagine how, now the public can see that he was innocent in this situation. But imagine
if he sent him nudes.
Imagine if he did not have this evidence and this audio recordings. Like, luckily his manager and all of them, they have all this information. They actually posted a video, and you can hear the recording of her saying like, "Yeah, you're the best I've had." And like, if he didn't have this proof, he could be canceled and slandered all over
in
again.
Jail.
It's just crazy. It's just like, man, you gotta just. I think like these celebrities, especially males, you gotta sign an NDA, non-disclosure.
Drake does it.
Yeah, you got to. That way, it's everything that you all do is in the contract. It's non-disclosed, and it's signed, sealed, that it was consensual, so you don't even have these issues. But thank God he had these text messages and stuff, so people can't try to derail him like they like to do. They always like to pick on Chris Brown, unfortunately.
Yeah, and being a black man, like, I understand, like, you can be attracted to anybody you want to be attracted to. You don't have to discriminate on a person on skin, race, or ethnicity. But a lot of times I've recognized that a lot of women, especially women who are not of color, when they know about men such as Chris Brown, who are black men in the spotlight, who are also very successful, they can get preyed upon. And that's a real thing. They can get preyed upon because people will be really quick to believe this woman, So the thing about Chris Brown is that, I honestly believe that he's probably changed the way he is now. He has children now. He's a family man. He's been in less trouble ever since he's had a daughter as well as a son. And just getting back on it, there are some women who have really been victims of rape, who have been victims of all types of abuse from men. So to see another woman try to pin everything like she was raped and like she was the victim towards Chris Brown, that's really offensive to the women who have been victims. So thank God Chris Brown was able to save his text messages. If anything, I think the biggest lesson from this is never delete any text threads. Yeah. Keep all of your evidence, because if you're a black man in the spotlight, there's somebody preying on you in the corner.
That's true, but
unfortunately.
Yeah, and unfortunately, I guess we're out of time now. But we'll be back next week with more hot topics and more life events and things going on in hip-hop, media, just throughout the world from a millennial point of view. We young, man. We got to keep y'all in tune with what's going on amongst us. That's what's important. So we checking in, checking out, signing off. It's the Well You're Not Wrong podcast, episode 3. I go by the name of Ty Won.
I go by Avi J.
And shout out your Instagram.
_AVIJ_.
You can follow me all my social media, Facebook, Twitter, Instagram, at Ty Won Official. That's TYWON Official. Thanks.